We know that there has been no other time in history where there's been so much rapid change. Families are transient and moving to where there's work. So the connection that usually sits around kids has really changed. And that's not even taking into account the year that we just had with pandemics and bushfires. What we have heard across Australia is that the needs are increasing, the wellbeing needs of kids are increasing, and they're becoming more complex. That was before the pandemic hit. So this nurture initiative is so vitally important because it really is coming down to the basics of relationships and creating safe places for kids. So when you start to think about those statistics in the average classroom, we've got some real challenges in the increased stress on families and the impact of that on kids. What Nurture provides is a social, emotional, mental health tool that can identify kids who are at risk and then put in place the strategy.
We started thinking about students in our school who had challenging behaviours. They couldn't learn, the other students had their learning interrupted. We tried all the strategies that seem to have worked in the past, and we thought actually we can't do more of the same. Avoiding that message that your postcode that you're born into determines your pathway in life. It doesn't matter what a child's backgrounds are, it doesn't matter the experiences that they've been through. Every child starts at our school as an individual, and we need to be able to identify their needs and cater to them so that they can transition out of the Nurture program feeling successful, feeling a really included part of our school community. Then they're able to go back into the classrooms and be successful in the classroom. They can self-regulate, they're learning, they're allowing the other children to learn. They see themselves as having a future. And they know that they can go off to secondary school and thrive in that environment, and then they can make up their own pathway. So it's not determined by where they happen to be born and the circumstances that they're born into.
And I think, Robin, what we have seen, we've been lucky enough now to run the program for several years. And so we have seen children from when they started in grade prep to where they now are, leaving us in grade 6, and just the transformation in that child's life and the relationships that they've been able to build with other children and the connections, with the adults in the school. It has just made an amazing difference to them. And as you said, it leaves them with hope when they go to secondary school that they will fulfil whatever potential that they have, that they will be able to be, very successful.
And can I just add in too, that an unexpected bonus of the Nurture program has been the engagement with families. Yes. So families who in the past would not walk through the school gates, we couldn't get them to bring their children to school. We'd struggled to get consent for the children to go on excursions. They're developing the relationship with the Nurture staff, and they now feel comfortable to come in, and they actually disclose to our Nurture staff things that are happening in their lives, so that we can then as a school offer support to the families and not just to the child. So I think it's really important having that the student as the core, but involving the parents to help them support the child as well. The Boxall profile allows us to put the child at the centre of everything that we do, and the core of all our decisions, all our actions, all our strategies is the child.
Well, the Boxall profile, as you may be aware, it looks at the social and emotional development of children, and it kind of really clearly pinpoints where there might be areas where their children might be not developmentally at that stage yet, and so it actually helps us define and target specific behaviours that will help children to progress socially and academically throughout their schooling life. And as we know that every child, every school will have children who will have experienced some form of trauma in their life. And it may be complex trauma, or it may be simple trauma as a result of, a loss or, an illness in the family, or more complex trauma that goes on for years. And so every child will present differently, and every child will have different developmental needs that we need to work on. So what this profile allows us to do is cater for that child's needs.
We'd been looking for something to support our vulnerable kids, particularly in the sort of prep and year 2 area, where there was a lot of attachment issues and separation from families and things, and the nurture room that we saw in Warrnambool just fitted that perfectly. So we committed to that. We got some amazing support from the community bank in Bacchus Marsh, the Bendigo Bank down there.
We naturally bought into it fairly much straight away. We could see that it was going to be a benefit just not to the kids, but also the wider community. The benefits we got out of it was that the children improving long term, the investment going into the school is going to be a great thing for the community long term. That allowed us to put some money into it straight away. It was a no-brainer. We could see there was a benefit to everyone.
The results were amazing. The impact on the kids was just way more than we thought it could be. We saw such a change in their approach to schooling. They skipped through the gate in the morning. They were so much more engaged and happy to be at school. For us, it's one of the best things we've ever done, and I would just recommend all schools take it up.
And what we've found in terms of the research around wellbeing is that regardless of family background, regardless of poverty or all of those factors that I just gave you in the stats, if we can keep them engaged in education and thriving in education, we are literally transforming their life trajectory in a positive way. There is nothing more powerful. The opposite is our kids' quality of learning for everybody in those classes is compromised, and sadly for many that's a pathway into our justice system. Let's seriously give this a go.